We all make
choices. But in the end,
our choices make us.
So choose wisely. Subscribe to It's Erik Nagel
wherever podcasts are found. And leave a positive review, won't you kindly?
Oh, yeah, this was the article. It just says the lamest generation. I can't teach millennials because they refuse to take responsibility for their learning, says an assistant professor. And then the article goes on to like list 18-year-olds and younger. And it's just like, no, you can't say that's a millennial if that's like the age group just keeps changing. It's literally just being like, oh, this is younger than me, so they're a millennial now.
Right.
I mean, I don't really care about it, but it's interesting how it's just, oh, you're younger than me, so this is who you are. I don't know.
You know who I want to blame?
The millennials?
Exactly.
The millennial falcon. It's just lazy. Chewie will fly us there. Yeah, I did the Kessel Run too.
No, the Millennial Falcon.
Yeah, the Millennial Falcon.
The Millennial Falcon drives itself. It's one of those self-driving ships.
The Millennial Falcon calls Uber.
Yeah, Millennial Falcon X.
Yeah.
It's $8 more, but it's a bigger car.
The Millennial Falcon only eats avocado toast. Waits online for brunch.
Only goes to Williamsburg.
Ugh. Only shops at Urban Outfitters. Millennial Falcon's actually a hawk. All right, I'm ready whenever.
It's Erik Nagel. And it starts now.
What up, my Nagel? 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 Talking about George R.R. Martin, not writing. Talking Marvel versus DC, who's more exciting? Talking George Lucas's legacy, high-scoring centipede. Talking Gittles' new beef burrito recipe. Talking about Stephanie McMahon versus Sable. Talking about the Cybermen versus the Weeping Angels. Don't blink, the dialect's more deadly than you think. Talking summer ale, blueberry pale, craft beer, pouring drinks. What up, my Nagel? Deadpool 2 features Cable. Talking Funko Pop, celebrity signed a label. Talking online gaming, bitchin' ain't complaining. Talking E-Rock, kissing the feet of Matt Groening. Warner Brothers properties, Superman's a mockery. Weird Al concerts, Kevin Smith's debauchery. Rick and Morty fun zone. The Lego build team, can I have your attention? Possible Donkey Kong kill screen. What up, my Nagel? What up, my Nagel? What up, my Nagel? What up, my Nagel?
Ladies and gentlemen of the universe, the next voice you hear.
It's Erik Nagel.
Hello and welcome to another edition of It's Erik Nagel. That is me. We're minus half the show this week, and it's not because anybody went to San Diego Comic-Con.
Nope.
People just had other things to do. How dare they have lives? We are sans Matt OG, and we are sans Trevs and Devs.
I hear he's on a great endeavor.
He is. Something to do with Jersey, New York Jets football. I don't know what he's doing. It's something with football.
I don't know. He told me he had a band the other day. I'm like, you don't have a band. You just have a group of people you hang out with. Like, that's not a band.
Well, I've seen some of his social media photos, and he always look. You know what? If he has a band, you're right. It doesn't look like he has a band because his photos look like he's the drunk guy at a bar that hopped up on stage for the band that was playing.
He's like the guy who dances during the Slipknot set.
Yeah.
That's Trevor.
He
in the
hops
Endeavors.
on stage, and then he's like, "Give it to me, I can do it." And then he's like, rolling.
Yeah,
everyone in the bar's just looking at
him
him like, what is he doing?
Yeah. Poor Trevor.
Well, Trevor's not here. Matt's not here. But over in the Upside Down is Gittles. He is here.
What up, everyone?
And it's just going to be you and I today for this particular program. And lots to do, lots to cover. Later on in the show, we've got a bunch of TV and movie updates for you. We're going to talk actually some music because I have some concerns with that. The music industry.
Some concerns?
Concerns.
What is, there's just no music coming out anymore, Eric? Like, we're running low on music.
We are.
We gotta tap into the strategic music funds.
We are. Ever since those, those tariffs have been put in place, we are not exporting our music and we're not making any money.
Everything's in 4/4 time now. They're charging to charge us extra for 3/4.
Yeah, they get all fancy, 2/6. Like, you can't even play at that speed.
Yeah, it's like that's not even a real time. You can't count that time.
And we'll have some San Diego Comic-Con updates as they've been coming in as of the time that we're doing this show. The Thursday announcements that are all coming in from San Diego we'll have for you. So when you listen to this, when it comes out Friday, it'll be at least a day old, or it might be new to you if you don't follow any of this stuff. And you'll just have to look online for all the other updates that come throughout the weekend there, because we're not there. And I'm going to say that a few more times just to really rub into the fact that I wish I was there.
But you know what? Like, so far, like, it seems like it's going to be kind of lackluster this year. And then it's probably because we're not there.
That's probably. We also bring the party, is from what I'm told.
Yeah, on the IMDb boat.
Right. There's a lack of big presentations this year because Disney doesn't have to do a whole hell of a lot. There's nothing Marvel really, because we're done with the Ant-Man's out right now, the Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then there's nothing until March with Captain Marvel, so they don't need to do anything, and they're not going to talk about the second part of Infinity War or whatever it's going to be called, because the DVD Blu-ray on demand release is coming up in a couple weeks. So that's still, important, and that's still going on right now. So they're not going to jump ahead. So they don't have anything to do with Marvel. Same with Star Wars. Not a whole hell of a lot. There's one Star Wars announcement.
One Star Wars thing, yeah.
That we'll get to. But it's as far as like the movies and other stuff, it's not that big a deal.
But it might be, though.
It is to some people, but like to mainstream media as a whole, it's not really that big a deal.
But I mean, like, with the end of The Last Jedi,
right,
and how that tied into the Clone Wars,
right,
and all that stuff.
Still, it's not like you're getting the whole panel of Star Wars Episode 9 showing up.
Oh yeah,
It's not to that level. So Disney doesn't really have a whole lot to do at this year's.
Wait, so we're not getting a Star Wars movie this winter, right?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay. No. I always forget, and they just seem to like come out of nowhere.
Well, because they just announced that Billy D. Williams was going to return as Lando Calrissian.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But they just announced that, so they're not even ready to have this movie done by Christmas at this point.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know if there was like any one of those like other little ones that might be coming out. But then I remembered Han just came out, so I can't see anything else coming in between Han and Episode. What is it, 11 now? Or 9?
9. It's coming out. Let me see. No, Episode 9 doesn't come out till December of 2019.
Oh, wow. That's like 7 years away.
Yeah, so I don't know if they have anything in between there, but there's nothing for the rest of the year with Star Wars. So, again, Disney has nothing really to do there, so they're not there, and that seems to be what's kind of lackluster with some of the... I mean, there's a lot of other entertaining properties and announcements that have come out, but nothing to the huge scale that would make, the evening news or the magazine shows or what have you.
Do you think they're waiting till tomorrow? Like, because Thursday is like the first day, and I feel like Friday and Saturday are the bigger days of the con.
But the panels aren't a surprise, The panels are already announced and scheduled because people had to get tickets. People have to, camp out, especially if it's a Hall H ordeal, which are the bigger, more newsworthy panels. But all of these things had to be announced, in the weeks leading up to the start of San Diego Comic-Con. So what's coming. But from what I've seen on the list so far, it's like there's nothing that really like, oh, my God, unless some of these smaller properties have a huge, big surprise or a twist or an announcement or something. It's not like gangbusters like it was the previous years when or the last 3 years when Matt and I went out there.
Yeah,
because you had all the Marvel stuff going. You had San Diego stuff. You had Doctor Who stuff. You had the Tick coming back. You had a whole bunch of different things. And we'll see. Maybe some surprises do show up, but as of right now, like Saturday night is usually the big night for anything major.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but when Matt and I were there, they did the Star Wars panel. And as a surprise, it was on a Saturday night. As a surprise, J.J. Abrams escorted the whole Hall H across the street to Petco Park, which is where the San Diego Padres play. And they had a big music and fireworks and whatever show, and they showed a trailer or something over there, and they were playing John Williams music and all this stuff. Like, he had this huge party, and that made a lot of press. That was everywhere. But we'll see. We'll see what's still to come. We'll get into San Diego stuff a little bit later in the program. Lots going on around here. First, I want to talk about that explosion that happened in Manhattan today.
Yeah, I just saw
down in the
some
Flatiron
pictures
district.
online. Yeah, my friend works at like Google, and like I have other friends who work down in that part of town, and they were just like, "Yo, some shit's on fire," and then someone else was like, "No, a manhole exploded," and I think that's what ended up being.
Yeah. So what happened was there's this.
Maybe that's why. Was that why all the helicopters were over the city today? Because like I didn't know if like Trump was there or something. Because there was literally like 50 helicopters just circling the city when I left work today. It felt like the end of a zombie movie, and they were trying to get people off.
So what happened was this morning this old steam pipe under the streets. They said, they said it was like 89 years old.
Well, yeah, the city's pretty old.
Just kind of blew up. The problem was that it wasn't just steam. It shot like 100 feet in the air. And
yeah, I saw the pictures. It looked like a volcano erupted.
Yeah, and if you see the aerial shots, you can go to any news source and find it. But if you want some immediate stuff for whatever time you're listening to, go to the NBC affiliate for New York. Just go to NBCNewYork.com.
Yeah,
because they're covering it live. The aerial shots of the street that is no more. You still see the water and everything bubbling under the street. It looks like Ghostbusters 2.
Yep.
When it blew up and you saw the slime and everything in the subway area, they had to reroute one of the subway line or a couple of the subway lines because of that explosion that they couldn't.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, you're not getting off here. They evacuated 49 buildings.
Oof.
Everybody had to leave. If you had residents there, they may let you back in tonight. But with 49 buildings around that area, it was a mandatory evacuation because the pipe not only just exploded with steam, but it was so old, it was asbestos lined. Ugh. So it shot all these chemicals into the air.
Toxic air.
There's hazmat people all over that area that have that area mapped out so that you can't get to it. But two, they're trying to find anybody who was around when the explosion happened, which, by the way, 5 people hurt, minor injuries, nobody dead, thank God. But those people had to have all their clothes and everything taken from them. And if you were in the area when all this happened, they're there. Like, you see the guys in white with plastic bags. They're asking,
like, give me your shirt, your shoes, and your motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly. Change your clothes, take a shower, bring us your clothes. They need to take all this stuff to try to contain the asbestos because, for what they're saying, that it's very cancerous, everything that was shooting out of the pipe. It's all in the air now. So I'm
sure.
Yeah, this is going to cause so many lawsuits down the line.
Oof.
So now the hazmat people are there. They're trying to absorb anything fabric. They're just like, they're going through storefronts and stuff. They're just taking clothes. Anything that was exposed to this is now.
What if this was just like a really like clever like heist? And they just like blew up a steam vent, and then they're like, "Yo, now we could steal all this clothes. Like we're in the Flatiron district. Like we could totally just blow this shit up. We get the like Die Hard when they're like robbing the the treasury.
Right.
And they have like all the buses there, and then like people are like, all right, I'll get this clothes, I'll get this suit, and then we'll just get it and go. You think that's a possibility?
Or they're dumb crooks. Like they have this big mastermind plan, and then I said, "What'd you steal?" And it's like, "I stole like 10 boxes of candy bars from the bodega down the street." And look at all I stole a scratch-off wheel. It's like that's what you went for? This whole illustrious plan, and that's what you stole?
You blew up a steam vent, damn it! Yeah. But I remember this like happened. I feel like this happened a lot, like back in the like a couple of years ago, even.
Back in my day, steam pipes exploded all the time.
But it did happen a lot because I remember there was an O&A episode like back when one blew up, and I remember someone died, and because I always remember the story because Anthony was like telling it, and he was just like, man, imagine being that guy like walking across like the street as it blows up, and you're like, huh, they gave me the wrong muffin today. Boom, that's your last thought. Like the steam just blows up, and you're sitting there like you have no idea you're about to die because this street just exploded. And like I remember when he told that, and I always think of that every time a manhole explodes. Like I could have been that guy eating the muffin and had no idea that my last thought was this muffin sucks.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was like I remember it was back in the day, probably like 2008, 2009 or so.
I'm trying to see where exactly this thing blew up. I know the Flatiron district is the lower before you hit fully downtown Manhattan. Steam pipe explosion was on 5th Avenue and 21st Street in Lower Manhattan.
I mean, that's almost the Flatiron building.
So, for those of you who don't know New York or even if you're in New York and you don't know where that is, the famous building of New York where it looks like a big white triangle, it looks like a wedge, like a Trivial Pursuit piece.
It looks like a flat iron.
Yes. So that triangle looking
the Flatiron building. And that's why it's called the Flatiron District.
The triangle
because it looks like a flat iron.
The triangle looking building.
It's a flat iron building.
Right? That looks like a game piece. 2 blocks away is where that thing exploded.
Yes.
And what is also in the same, almost near the same area where a lot of the World Trade Center people wound up when that happened. They moved uptown a bit more.
I mean, that's pretty far uptown, but yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying when they had to relocate, a lot of those people moved up if they didn't move to Jersey City or Hoboken or something. And now you have this to deal with. And it's not just, if you're thinking that, well, it's just a steam pipe, stuff like that happens. No, this was. Remember at the end of go back to Ghostbusters. Remember when
I can always go back to.
Remember when Con Ed, the guy from Con Ed, shut down the containment unit?
Yeah,
and it shot into the sky. Yeah. Look at the
exploding.
Yes, look at the aerial footage, and you'll go, "Oh my god, that's insane."
Yeah, it's a fucking crater. I mean. The water in I made a tweet about this the other day because like New York City is like the only place I've ever lived where I can get like 30-degree burns just trying to do my dishes. Like, why is the water tapped into like the center of the fucking earth? And like, yeah, I could imagine an 88-year-old pipe when it gets that hot in this kind of weather just exploding. Like, why wouldn't it?
Right. This is going to take a while to clean up because it's not just turning the pipe off. It's obviously repairing the pipeline, fixing the street. Then they have to deal with carcinogens in the air.
Yeah, it says asbestos confirmed already, so there's definitely asbestos in it.
Right.
Oh,
that's what I led with because the pipe was lined with it.
Yeah.
Because you had the metal pipe and then it was surrounded by it as insulation. But yeah, when you look at the smoke coming down the street here, these photos I'm seeing online are very reminiscent of 9/11, and it gives you all kinds of weird feelings when you look at this thing. But this hole is huge. It is the whole center of the street down to the sidewalk.
Yeah, because if you look at the picture, like if I saw this morning, I would probably think that like there was an attack or something in the city from how much smoke is just billowing out. Oh yeah. Oh, and it's a lot, too. Oh, man, and that's just so many bad fumes. Ugh.
Now, my concern is not only this.
And those poor firefighters who have to go into that shit. Ugh.
I know. And my concern is not only this, right? But because this happened, all right, it had to put pressure on other parts of the system under the city.
Oh, yep.
So, obviously, I think at this point, they've gotten to at least seal off some of the valve systems to shut this off so it stops shooting into the air. But then that offsets again pressure somewhere else. I'm waiting for I hope not, but I'm waiting to see another explosion somewhere of these pipes because that system is so old. If you ever see,
it's so old.
PBS has a bunch of these specials about old time New York, the start of the country, when you see New York in the 1800s when they're well, even like if you saw Gangs of New York, you see nothing was paved. They were cobblestone roads or dirt all through Manhattan. Yeah. So, and then towards you get to the latter part of the 1800s when they started putting the roads in, they started putting the trains in. Then they had to dig up the city to not only put the subways in, but the pipelines, electric, water, all that stuff. Because there's a whole world under Manhattan that's just hollowed out and rebuilt. It's not. It's not an island. Like if you dig through the street, you're right into like passageways and tunnelways. There's no island other than what they built that infrastructure under. Because a lot of that stuff made Staten Island. Staten Island didn't exist until they started digging up Manhattan.
Yeah, they had to put that dirt somewhere.
Yeah, so they made an island.
Well, it's crazy because I remember even when they were fixing for the World Trade Center site, they were doing like excavating to, get the foundation for the new building safe. And they found, like a Dutch ship from like the 1800s in Battery Park. They're like, oh, yeah, we were just digging up to, put in this new foundation for the building. And we found a Dutch ship. Like, what the fuck? That's crazy, but it's true. I mean, New York City it was a shipping port, especially down there. Like, you never know what kind of shit you're gonna find. And the thing is, if you've ever like been in the city and they're doing construction on the street and they have like the big like holes in the ground and they're in there, and you look in at those pipes, they look like 1,000-year-old chicken bones. Like they're all like withered and just like they're old. Like you don't even know what they hold. Like, what is in that? Is that still bringing me water? Because that means I'm probably drinking rust, but it's not.
If you're in a building and you see an old radiator in there, right?
The ones that like sound like an old man just like banging on them all night. Like,
right. When you turn it on and they buckle because the water pressure goes nuts, right?
Yeah.
That's what's running New York City if it hasn't been replaced already. Yeah. The rest of the infrastructure is that old rackety radiator just spread all throughout the city, and they're just hoping it works.
Yeah, like at the shop where I work at in Greenpoint, we had Con Ed maybe about a month ago or so was doing some work in the neighborhood, and there was no hot water for a 4-block radius. Like no one had it. It wasn't like a building was out. It was just there was no hot water for anybody. Like all the restaurants, something happened. They had to shut off like the hot water, but it makes me want like, where is all this hot water coming from? Like, is there a giant like hot water plant that I don't know about? Like how can all the hot water in a neighborhood just be shut down? Don't people have like boilers in their building? Like I'm just confused by how the hot water system in New York City works. And I should know this because I live here. I should know how my water gets hot,
right?
But I don't, and it's kind of weird.
It's always not good when they say, well, for a couple of days you may just want to boil your water.
Oh my God, dude! My old apartment, like 2 blocks from here, they were always doing construction because they were fixing the Kosciuszko Bridge, which I live right next to.
Right.
And like half the time, I'd leave in the morning and it's like, yeah, no hot water. It's rusty. You got to boil it first. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go fuck the turtles today. I'm buying some plastic bottled water, and I don't care. Like I'm not drinking rust water. I don't care how long I boil it. It's still brown. Like I'm not drinking that shit. Like I will gladly buy some bottled waters and drink it to be safe.
Well, this thing's going to be going on for a while, so you'll see it all over the network news. If cable news isn't doing it, whatever the networks have for their national news, you'll see it everywhere. Or go to the NBC New York affiliates. Sorry, go to the news affiliates for New York, ABC, NBC, CBS. They're all doing coverage on there. You can check everything out. Moving on. So there was this thing I saw online that I sent to you, Giddles, because it involved a game that you turned me on to back in the day.
Magic?
Not Magic. It's called the Circle Game.
Oh, yeah, everyone plays the Circle Game.
And now apparently it means white supremacy.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's been going around for a while now. They're like, this isn't something that's new at all.
So I saw on Joe Rogan's Twitter where he was talking about the Circle Game, and now all of a sudden it's a white supremacy thing because 4chan, the website, deemed it so, or they were saying it was, or what's the whole story with that?
From what I read, because I read his tweet and he said he looked it up and that it all started as like a 4chan meme, and I was like, okay, well that sounds about right, because 4chan is basically sorry listeners if you go to 4chan, but it's the cesspool of the internet. Like you just go there for memes and fake news and just trolls and dank memes, and that's what you do. You go there.
Hacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all that stuff.
And they say that they were spreading it as like, oh, this is a white power salute, and the OK symbol, which is your fingers out, 3 fingers up, and the 3 fingers up is supposed to be the W,
right.
And then this is supposed to be the P for power. So it's supposed to be like the white power if you're looking at it like that.
Okay.
And Joe Rogan went on there and he's like, oh, this is all just made up by 4chan, and that's how this got started. But then I was looking into it, and like it goes back years earlier. But the thing that I found interesting was the thing that Joe Rogan put out was like, this started as 4chan as a joke, but then real like alt-right white supremacists started using it thinking it's real. So now it's like this weird hybrid version of it might have started out as being fake, but it might actually be real now. But it also might still be fake. So I don't understand.
So we're back to square one with trying to figure this out.
Yeah, like it's just there's no like real way to look at it. It's like which came first, like the cart or the horse, And right. I think that if it started off as a joke, but someone co-opted it and now they're using it legitimately, then it's not a joke anymore. You know what I mean?
Where did the Circle Game start?
The circle game started, and this is like, from what I have read, and this makes the most sense. It actually started in the military, and because soldiers for having to look straight, look ahead, and not look away. So if you can trick somebody into looking down, it was kind of like breaking the military code, and like, oh, you looked at my finger, so I punch you, and that's how it started as the circle game. And everyone's played the circle game. I mean, there's memes about it all over the place. Like there's so many memes that have it. So it's not just like something that happened recently. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. So I thought it was interesting because it has like just different things, like where it might have started off as a joke, but now it's real. You know what I mean?
The game started off legitimately.
Yeah, and that game's been going on forever. Like, people are still playing that game. Like, I still play that game kind of with my friends. I'll be like, hey, what up? Like, oh, punch him. Like, you know, that's a thing. But then there's people who are, like, legitimately with, like, groups of, like, neo-Nazis, and they're all making this symbol. So they're not doing it as, like, a joke. Maybe they are, but the fact that they're white supremacists and they're doing a hand signal that seems to be a joke for white supremacists makes it seem real. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
So, okay, so I guess you can compare it to if you don't know the history of the swastika.
Exactly.
It was a religious symbol for the Hindu culture that the Nazis adopted and then turned it into what is known as the swastika now, and it's, you know, a symbol of evil. But it didn't start off that way. When you see that over in India, it doesn't mean the same thing.
It was just an old art symbol, basically. Right. It was that. But the thing is, once the Nazis co-opted it, you can't go back and be like, well, we still think it's an art symbol. It's like, yeah, not anymore, because like millions of people were murdered because of it. Like, it's no longer something that means peace. Like, maybe in your culture it does, but in the entire view of the world, that's what it means now. And I think it was very similar to that. I don't know.
So do they need to change the circle game now?
No, I don't think so.
Does the circle game go away?
No, I don't think the circle game will ever go away, because the circle game is fucking fun, and you trick people and then you punch them, and it's a great game.
Yeah, but what if you do that and somebody goes, oh, "You're a racist. You're doing white supremacist hand signals."
Then you explain to them, like, calmly as a normal person. You'd be like, "Yeah, but this is what I'm doing." Like, I think in the instances where people are using it for white power, it's a very specific thing. Like, they're doing it in pictures, they're doing it in posing. Where I think if someone's walking down the street and they go with a goofy smile, and then put the circle out, they're not saying like her white power. They're playing the circle game. You know what I mean? I think there's ways to tell the difference without getting confused. Now, maybe someone will get confused. I don't know, but I think if they're a rational person and you explain to them what you're doing, like, they should hopefully take your word for it.
So does that mean like John Cena has to change his hand gestures now when he goes out to the ring?
Is he going like this?
Well, look at your phone, and you can see the photo that I just sent you there. But no, when the music hits a certain point, he goes like this. He goes right up to the ring and goes like that, like, oh, his hands up in the air. I sent you the photo.
Oh, that I don't know. I mean,
it's sensitive times over at the WWE right now, so I don't know if that's gonna. But here's the thing, like, if you're gonna say that, like, this is a W and he's in WWE, that's two W's.
And I'm the E. You're the E Rock. But like, I don't know, you know.
No, I don't think
I think there's a lot of interpretation for it, but I think in certain instances you can tell when it's being used as like a racist thing, and then there's other situations where you could tell it's obviously like an okay thing. Because I mean, there's a brand at the Polish supermarkets I go to called OK Foods, and it's got an old lady on it like this, like, "Ew, eat my soup," and she's doing the signal, and I highly doubt she means white power soup. I mean, it is a white borscht, but I don't know if like that's what she's doing the symbol for. I think she's just doing it to say it's OK borscht, you know,
it's like, or it's for this only. And you're like, whoa, exactly. That's not all right. No, you went too far with your advertising.
Yeah, like, you're not gonna walk around like this and they're gonna be like, "Oh, look at this guy," you know.
Oh my God. You can't do the bat dance anymore.
No, it's the Bat 2C.
Oh, what was the one that did this? Oh, that wasn't Batman.
No, I don't know what that is. Is that like
from
Hawkeye?
Something else. No, I forgot what it was.
If any of our listeners know, we're doing the thing where you put your circle finger glasses
over your eyes.
Over your eyes. Like what?
It's from something else. I'm forgetting.
Some sort of mask. I look kind of cool like that, actually. Look at that picture. Ooh, I got a Halloween costume. I feel like I'm in Pan's Labyrinth. The guy with the shit in his hand.
Oh yeah. I got to put that on my list of movies that I've never watched.
Yeah.
So Pan's Labyrinth. I got to put that. I never watched that, so I got to put that on my list.
You've never seen Pan's Labyrinth?
No, I own it, but I haven't seen it. Just
dude.
like I have Dark Crystal. I own it, but I haven't watched it.
Pan's Labyrinth, though, man, that is a movie. You got to see that, dude. It's so good. It's heartbreaking, but it's great.
All right, I will watch that.
The monsters in it are so good.
I know they made a couple for. I think NECA made a couple for Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, I really like his monster design. I think he's really creative with it. But yeah, that movie, like, you got to see it, dude. Just the bottle scene. Oh, it's crazy. It's fucked up.
I mentioned WWE. There's been some news. There's been some news since Sunday that has gone on, and then news today that happened. So Sunday, a few hours before their Extreme Rules pay-per-view,
what is that?
What, the pay-per-view?
What does Extreme Rules mean?
Extreme Rules means
murder someone with the chair. Like, what does it mean?
Pretty much, it's you have matches, but anything goes. You can't get disqualified. You know?
Oh man! So can you like go into the crowd and pick up like a small child? They come back into the crowd and beat the other guy with the small child.
Well, I'll tell you this: if you look up the Raw Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania,
oh, I saw that.
Braun Strowman went out into the crowd and got a child, brought him into the ring, beat the opponents, and him and that child were now the World Tag Team Champions.
That kid looked so terrified.
He was
sitting on the side of the ring. He's like, "This guy's gonna murder me."
That's the dream of every kid. You like, I want to go. Like, you know, back in our day, oh my God, you know, the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, or Bret Hart, or Shawn Michaels. Somebody's gonna tag me in, and I'm gonna win and win the match. And
yeah.
And that kid just kind of shit the bed. he was terrified. Like, I'm gonna die but you feel bad for the kid. Like, it's an amazing opportunity, but then he's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. But what's the Extreme Rules? Sorry.
So that's what happened. That's what Extreme Rules pay-per-view. But that's not the important part of the story here. So a few hours before the pay-per-view, WWE announced that Hulk Hogan was backstage. Yep. That he addressed the locker room to make amends for, continuing making amends for what he did a couple of years, about 3 years ago, that he got suspended for.
What was that again for the listeners who do not know and for Giddles?
What happened a few years ago was this sex tape got released.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. Was that the Gawker lawsuit?
Right. Hulk Hogan was having sex with this lady named Heather, who was the wife at the time of radio DJ, radio talk show host Bubba the Love Sponge.
Okay.
And Bubba had a camera in the room taping the thing.
Yeah.
So as time went on, you find out in the lawsuit that Bubba had taken it off the server, burnt it to a DVD, and put it in his desk. And somebody took it from his desk and wound up leaking it to Gawker, and then Gawker put it out there. So this is what kind of ruined Hogan's career at that time.
Yeah.
So not only was it just the sex tape, but that was one thing which just is a personal embarrassment and a legal issue for Hogan. But that doesn't affect his career. What affected his career was after they have sex, he's sitting there on the side of the bed and he's talking with the lady, and he was saying things like, "It's like I can't believe I'm here. I should be at home." And his marriage had pretty much fallen apart at that point. So,
oh brother,
he was talking with this girl, and then stuff came up about his daughter Brooke and that she was dating black guys, right? And
okay, I do remember this now. Yeah, keep going.
I don't want to. I don't remember the exact comment, so I'm not going to even try. But he wound up saying he wasn't happy that she was, and wound up using the N-word. Right?
Should have just used the hand symbol.
Right.
No one would have known.
That part wasn't released with the sex tape. What happened was Hogan filed the lawsuit, and while all that was going on, I don't know if it was after the verdict or it was leading up to the verdict, Gawker then leaked the other part of the tape where Hogan said the N-word, and it wound up costing him his job with the WWE. They pulled him from the Hall of Fame. Like, they kind of had to whitewash the fact that he was ever in the business, which is horrible because he's the biggest name in the business.
He's Hulk Hogan.
Right? Yeah. So 3 years goes by. He won the lawsuit, won hundreds of millions of dollars. I think $120 million.
It was a lot of money.
Right?
So I remember there was a headline and it just said, "This is the first guy to wear a do-rag in court and win."
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny.
So he won this amount, and I think they wound up settling for somewhere between 30 and 40 million.
Yeah.
But he was screwed out of his career. He couldn't go back to wrestling, especially where WWE is now, where it's all inclusive and women are giving a better opportunity than they had in the past. Like, they're really making strides with that company.
Yeah.
So back to modern day, he's at Extreme Rules. He's there. He speaks to the locker room, and Hogan tweeted out that he, after they put out the press release, that I did meet with everybody, and he said it was what it was. It was a little uncomfortable, but it had to be done, and he got a lot of handshakes and hugs and welcome back and things like that. So you're like, okay, cool. Hogan, WWE thinks he's done enough to repent for what he did and has demonstrated that he's tried to make changes and evolve and pay for his mistake. So then fast forward to today, the day that we're recording the show, it comes out that some of the black wrestlers from WWE posted statements on their social media accounts. I'm assuming it was approved by WWE, but there's a TMZ clip of Mark Henry. He's in a car and he's Skyping with somebody at TMZ. They're asking him questions about what does the locker room feel about Hogan.
So having spoke to him, do you feel yourself like he's genuine, Mark?
I do. I do feel like he genuinely wants to clear his name. He sees people that used to respect him, they look at him different, and it hurts. And he brought that on himself. But he's trying his best to, clear that up. And I don't know if it's from, some people are going to say, well, he missing them big checks. So he wants to rectify that situation. And, that's always a factor. We always want to, keep our buying power up. But I don't think that's the case with him. I think if he did some appearances where he helped raise money to go to some of these organizations that need help in the inner cities and urban sectors, then I think that people will be less likely to think that it's all just a ploy for him to make more money.
How are other African-American wrestlers taking the news that he was reinstated? Is anybody upset, or is everybody in agreement that it's time that he be allowed back?
No, it's 50-50. I've talked to guys that were like, man, the hell with him. And I had guys that was like, you know what, man, if he's willing to make a change and try to help out and go and speak up and be a part of the answer rather than a part of the problem, then it's all good.
So then you go to Kofi Kingston, who's part of this tag team called The New Day. It's 3 guys. Very over-the-top, energetic, very Carney-like. Like it's a great tag team. They're very energetic. They're very. I
think I saw them when I went to the SummerSlam thing last year at the Barclays, because I didn't know anything about any of the wrestling people, but I do remember there was I think they were there. I might be wrong.
Yeah, at the time they were throwing out their cereal. They have a cereal called Bootios.
Yeah. Yep, I do remember that.
Now they throw out protein pancakes. It's
what is that?
It's a special kind of pancake that like athletes eat that's high in carbs and protein and whatever. So they can eat pancakes without having the guilt of the carbs. There's a lot more stuff in it. And
you just said there was carbs in it.
Yeah, but if you eat a regular pancake, like if you take Bisquick and make a pancake, it's all carb.
Yeah.
Right? Protein pancakes have all the other stuff that you're missing that's not in a pancake in those pancakes.
So you can eat them as
yes, mealworms and grubs.
I mean, I'm just asking where this protein's coming from. I mean, I'm very protein. I'm not conteen. I'm protein.
And one big bay leaf in the middle.
Oh, my God, that'd be amazing.
It's always the damn leaf.
It's always a leaf.
Damn you, Aunt Jemima. So, so they throw out pancakes now. But anyway, so Kofi Kingston put out this whole thing where they're explaining that, what black athletes and black people had to go through, et cetera, and their own personal experiences. And it pretty much, it sums up at the end where they said, look, him being reinstated is, I'm guessing they're not happy with it, but it's not going to be a problem for them. It's not going to prevent them from doing what they do, and they will continue to do what they do and entertain and build themselves up and what have you. So the members of that particular tag team didn't seem too happy that he was there, but that's the company's decision, not their decision, and they're just going to move on. And they also said that's the last we're going to address this. So you can tell that they're not happy.
Yeah.
There's another wrestler named Titus O'Neil. Big, lovable, jolly dude, which, by the way, if you look up the clip while I'm telling this story, if you want to look up on there, look up Titus O'Neil at the Greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. He tripped running down the ramp and fell under the ring.
He slides under the ring?
Right. So that's him.
That was funny because I didn't even know what that was, but I was like, this is a great gif.
Yeah, he tripped on the mat.
Like that should be on the WWE like Subway sandwich Twitter page.
Right.
You know, it's just like when the door opens and you can't get there fast enough, and the guy trips and flies under the fucking thing.
Right. So he listed his own experience, dealing with racism and being a black entertainer, an entrepreneur, all of these things that he tries to be a role model to his kids and to people who follow him and are fans of him and the WWE. But he's like, I'm all about giving people second and third chances if they demonstrate that they're trying to make amends and evolve and become a better person and pay for, what they did. So there was just, you could see the contrast where like the New Day guys were like, that's the company's decision. We're going to just do our thing and that's it. They're not happy, but Titus is, but I'm willing to give the guy another chance because they all agree that this business wouldn't be what it is without Andre and without Hulk Hogan. And all of them agree that he has his place. He should be there at some point, but it's just tricky, in today's society with the Me Too movement, the Time's Up movement, with anything now, especially racial activity, that it can cost you your entire career. Like everything can be wiped out because you said something in private or you said something off color that you didn't think would, maybe 10, 20 years ago wouldn't have bothered anybody. But now all of a sudden it's a big, ordeal. You can lose everything just from a slight misstep. Like there's no accidents anymore.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Blatant. If it's blatant, obviously, you're going to be punished for what you can say. You have, like people say, free speech, whatever. You have the right to say it, but that's not what free speech means. Free speech means that you won't go to jail because you said it.
Yeah, you're not going to be persecuted by the government for it.
Right, but people may not want to be friends with you. People may not want to live near you, and people may not want to hire you or can have you continue. And they're perfectly within their right to say you're fired. You're not going to work here anymore. It's just a weird thing. There's no safety net. There's no, I misspoke, or look, that was an accident, or somebody recorded me when I didn't know I was recording, which I don't even know if that's an excuse anymore. But
no, but I think that is very illegal, which is why he won that lawsuit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you still can't like record people like having private conversations like that and then just like leak it. Like that's kind of weird, I don't know where the legal ground is on that. One of
the things I'm forgetting, but I just remembered now in Kofi Kingston's statement was that when Hulk Hogan was addressing the locker room, one of the things that rubbed them the wrong way he said he was making amends and apologizing for what he did. He said, I didn't know I was being recorded.
Yeah.
And they took it as like, that's not an excuse.
Yeah, it's not.
So,
but it's not an excuse, but also like, it's not fair that he was being recorded without being known. And then like, that was going to be like used against him. Like, don't agree with what he said, but also like the means by which they got what he said was really fucked up. Mm-hmm. So it's a weird thing there. Well, like, you can't put that genie back in the bottle, but I think you also have to see how the genie came out of the bottle, like it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're at with that. I thought that was an interesting situation because, they made him address the locker room, which was kind of weird too, because most of those people weren't there 3 years ago when all this happened. But if he's being allowed back into the company, I guess it's like, look, you got to make amends, or you got to look like you at least talk to the inner workings of the company, the actual performers, and make sure everybody's okay with this before we allow you back on TV. Because they're allowing him back in the Hall of Fame. They're reinstating all that stuff. Apparently, they're still working on a deal if he's going to return to television with them.
I heard he's going to be the new what's it called, Papa John's spokesman.
Oh no. Garlic sauce, brother. It's like, no, you're ruining two things I loved.
I mean, that would be kind of funny, though.
Moving on. Before we go to break, I want to talk about... Oh, do we do Mark Duplass or do we do...
I mean, I feel like the Mark Duplass thing is kind of in the same boat of what we were talking about in a way.
Okay, so we'll do that, and then I'll get to my Yahoo thing on the other side.
Yeah.
So Mark Duplass, who's been on our show a couple of times, he's
Great
one
guy.
of the writers, creators of the show called The League on FX.
The League and Animals on HBO.
He had a show called Togetherness, too, I think. That was
Togetherness,
on HBO.
Creep and Creep 2. He did Wild Wild Country. Like, he's doing a lot of stuff. I think he was one of the producers on Evil Genius. Like, he's got his hands in like a million different pots.
Right.
You know, he's always got something stirring. And I gotta say, like, you know, we've met him like numerous times, and every single time he was one of the nicest people like ever. Like, I remember one time you just pulled him aside. You're like, my friend just wants to say something. I was like, dude, I like animals. He's like, dude, thank you so much. And it wasn't like I was bothering him. He was just genuinely appreciative that I liked the show, and I think he's a good guy.
Yeah, him and his brother, who's his business partner, you know, in a lot of these things. So Mark's always been a cool guy, and we loved having him on. And so he posted something on Twitter the other day, or yesterday actually.
It was yesterday, yeah.
And it only lasted about an hour, and then he deleted it. Now, here's where it gets tricky. So he posts this thing. I have it here. I'm going to pull it up so I can read it exactly.
Yeah, it's
as he.
The tweet has been captured.
Of course, like everything's captured. You know, even if you're like, oh crap, you delete it. Somebody's like, oh look, you made a bunch of spelling errors. It's like, yeah, that's why I deleted it, asshole.
Yeah.
So I could put something new on there. So he posted this tweet talking about. He's a very compassionate guy. He's a middle of the road kind of thinker when it comes to like social issues and politics. It leans more liberal, but you know he's willing to meet in the road, which I wish a lot more people were. So he posts a tweet that said that fellow liberals, if you're interested at all in crossing the aisle, you should consider following Ben Shapiro. For people who don't know, Ben Shapiro is a young conservative radio host. I don't agree.
Podcast those.
Huh?
What radio is it on? I thought you were just on
syndicated
podcasts.
through Westwood One.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah. He's kind of a big deal. He's like a smaller Hannity kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Oh,
right?
I know.
I don't agree with him on. Go back to the tweet here. I don't agree with him on much, but he's a genuine person who helped me for no other reason than to be nice. He doesn't bend the truth. His intentions are good. So within moments of posting that, he got all kinds of anti-Shapiro, stuff thrown at him. And Ben Shapiro, controversial, very conservative talk host, says some controversial things. And people were letting Mark know. So they were like, dude, do you know what this guy has said in the past? And they would post like audio clips or article clips or quotes or whatever from a show where, it can be interpreted as being racist or sexist or all the ists, all the bads. And that's fine. But the other side of it, and this is where I had the problem with it, were liberal people who were just destroying Mark, calling like, you pieces, like you're siding with that guy. What the fuck's wrong with you? It's like, look at the intention of what Mark was doing was not what you're saying. He shouldn't be shit on that much for what he was intending to do.
But I don't think that they were shitting on him for the intent. I think they were shitting on him for who they were saying to trust, basically, and who they were saying to give a chance. And I think that's what it was. I think if he was saying, hey, reach across the aisle and like listen to someone you don't know, like he would have gotten none of that backlash. But because it was specifically him,
right,
and he said so many like horrible, controversial things,
right,
that it seems really hard to be like, yes, reach across the aisle to this guy who's published 15 books about how liberals are literally destroying America, how Hollywood's horrible, how porn is like killing children. Like,
but
it's like how do you reach?
That's point of views. That's not the bad stuff that.
What I'm saying is, like, how do you reach across the aisle to someone who's like that? Like, if Ben Shapiro said, I think Hillary Clinton's got some good ideas and we should reach across the aisle, he would have been just as skewered by his fans.
Right. But when do you reach across the aisle? Do you always have to be defined, one, by your party line as a group thinking kind of thing on either side? Or, I mean, when do you reach across the aisle and say, hey, look, this is getting to be too much. We got to find some middle of the road here.
But how do you reach across the aisle to someone who's literally been sowing the seeds of this division the whole time?
Well, that's...
You know what I mean? But that's the thing. Like,
those are the people that you especially should lean on there, because you got to go, look, dude, you're causing more damage than you are helping.
And the thing is, and he's already using this and being like, look how the liberal left is attacking other liberals just because of poor old me, Ben. Like, he's already using this to get more listeners and get more subscribers.
Well, I have the thing where Ben. Keep going. I think I have Ben's quote
like
somewhere.
I just think it was the person that they were talking to reach out to, because when he if Mark Duplass is saying like this guy's like reasonable and has good ideas, and then there's also articles where he's saying ethnic cleansing could help the Middle East, like that's not a good idea, and like you should be challenged on that.
Did he say that though?
Yeah, in like
I'm
2004.
not defending him. I don't know. All right,
he did, but like he walked back the article like a couple of years because he was young. I was like, dude, it was like 2005 or something like that.
I do.
So
have
it's
a
just
list.
like that's not like good ideas, So how do you reach across the aisle to someone who's been saying the entire time that you're the problem?
I do have a short list here. Some stuff from a Deadspin article that are claiming these are things that, and I'll say allegedly, that Ben Shapiro has said. In a free country, if you fail, it's probably your own fault. Transgender soldiers are mentally ill. That's not good. Nancy Pelosi, with whom I disagree on literally every issue, is possibly disagree with every issue it is possible to disagree on, including the proper use of Botox. So that's just a personal knock on her. That's not bad.
But he was attacking the Parkland students after the shooting. Are you okay with that? Like, is that someone who has good ideas?
What was he saying?
He was saying that he was just basically trying to frame it as which is it media? Like, these kids are too young to have a political opinion, or we should listen to their political opinion. And he was basically attacking them. He started attacking David Hogg because David Hogg went after...
Wait, hold on. He said they're too young to listen to their political opinion?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He was saying that
he started off the same way, just on the other side.
That's what I'm saying, dude. There's like this hypocrisy of like how he built his entire career doing that. And it's like, and then he's saying that these things are bad. And that's what's like really weird, Like he was going after the kids for the Parkland thing. He went after Sarah Silverman because she was, being pro-choice. And then he made some other comments about like how abortions are farming body parts and stuff like that, which was proven false. So like, I don't know.
Was he on the bandwagon of the whole Planned Parenthood thing where... Remember the comments about or the speculation about you're right, about babies being thrown into dumpsters and things like that.
Yeah, hold on, I'll pull up the tweet here.
While you're doing that, one other quote he had here was I guess he was very vocal during the Trayvon Martin situation when that was all going down.
Yeah,
Trayvon Martin would have turned 21 today if he hadn't taken a man's head and beaten it into the pavement before being shot. So he's saying if he didn't start a fight, then the cops wouldn't have killed him.
Yeah. But he wasn't killed by a cop. He was killed by a fucking dude with a gun in the neighborhood.
Yeah. We had him on the show, too. Zimmerman. Yeah, George Zimmerman.
So I don't know. I think if he just said, reach across the aisle and try and talk to someone who has different opinions than you, it would have been okay. But I think it was him being like, yeah, this guy's got like some reasonable ideas. And then you look at the tweets, like there's nothing reasonable about any of this.
Right. So he picked the wrong person to.
That's where the backlash came from. Like, I have no problem reaching across the aisle. I love talking to people with different opposing viewpoints.
In one way, I can see where people get mad because they're saying you picked the wrong guy to identify as being part of the other side that you should try to reason with. But don't you think kind of because that guy is such an extremist that should be the guy you reach across to try to talk him off that ledge and pull him back from all that stuff? Shouldn't those be the guys that you do reach out to?
But Eric, this is a dude who literally built his entire career on that. So you're literally saying, shouldn't he reach out to this guy and pull him away from everything he's done for the last 15 years? Like, he's not going to walk away from that, dude.
I'll tell you this, okay? Guys like Hannity, Shapiro, Glenn Beck, and then even on the other side, I forgive my ignorance, but I don't know any of the liberal broadcasters outside of MSNBC, like when there used to be Air America, stuff like that. It gets to a point where, you start off with your values, religious or political beliefs or whatever. But when you get to be at the level that they're all at, it becomes all entertainment. Even though it's horrible stuff they're saying, it's still they're operating under the guise of entertainment, not a defense. I'm just saying in their mindset, it's now entertainment. It doesn't mean what they say it means anymore. Even though it's horrific, they're coming at it. It's like, well, what else can I say that's worse? Because that's going to get my ratings up. That's going to bring in more money. That's going to cause more outrage.
Exactly, and that's despicable. Like, yeah. I don't agree with that, and that's why like
you should reach out to those people and try to work it back.
But you're not going to get anywhere. Like, do you honestly think that like Ben Shapiro would change any of his views?
No, of course he's going to use this to fuel, his agenda, and I'm sure, his ratings are going to go up. And
but I think it's just like also like I want to know what was the good thing he did for Mark that Mark was just like how did he help him out?
Look, I've known a lot of
maybe off camera he is a normal person. Maybe he's just like, yeah, I just do this all for show.
I know a lot of people in radio who are one or even in TV who are one way on the air, and when they're off, they're not that person, But
the thing is, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that you can be joking. You can make this symbol as a joke,
right?
But the second that people take it and say this is what we're doing now, it stops being the joke. And I don't know if there's a lot of people out there who can tell the difference between when he's joking or when he's just saying things to get a rise out of people and what he really means. Like, I don't know. That's a tough call.
The comment from Ben Shapiro after Mark had to delete his tweet, and then today Mark put up an apology and a response to everything going on.
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro then responded, said, "So in 24 hours, I apparently went from being a person with good intentions to a racist, sexist bigot. Twitter toxifies any attempt to cross the aisle. There's no conservative Mark," meaning Mark Duplass, "could have recommended who wouldn't have received the same blowback."
Yeah, well, I mean, would there be, and like I said before, like, is there any liberal that Ben Shapiro could say we should reach out to? They have reasonable ideas where he wouldn't get the same exact blowback. That's the thing. I'm just trying to point out the hypocrisy of it.
Right.
Like, I mean, can you think of something? If he said Rachel Maddow's got some great ideas and I think we should listen to her, what do you think his Twitter page would be? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I was interested because I'm a politics junkie, and whenever something really weird happens in the news, like this past week with Helsinki, I like to see what the conservative people are saying about it. So I went on like Hannity's Twitter, and of course he was like defending all of it. And I went on Bill O'Reilly's, and Bill O'Reilly was saying things like, this was really bad behavior, and like I don't agree with the president, and people were ripping him apart. They're like, how fucking dare you, O'Reilly?
Yeah,
like this is some shit, but
thing.
like. But that's the thing. Like, people are still like, they can't even take it when their own people denounce something like that.
There's different, just like in everything, there's different hierarchies, different levels of everything.
Yeah.
Hannity is very extremist on what his thing is. And he's not just conservative. He's a fiscal conservative, but he's also very religious. So that's whole other...
He's a nut. Like, I saw like a military expert who was
hang on.
Yeah.
That's just a whole nother level than conservatism. That's up here when conservatism's right about here, right? So when you get Bill Maher, who's just not Bill Maher,
Ben Shapiro?
No, the guy
Mark Duplass?
No, the guy you just said who was fired from Fox.
Oh, Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly was an entertainment guy. He was an entertainment magazine reporter before he became a Fox talking head.
Current Affairs or Hard Copy, one of those shows he was on?
Inside Edition.
Inside Edition,
right? So he was one of those guys. So he was a journalist that turned into a magazine journalist because that's all he could get at that point, and then found news and Fox to go even further with that. But if you watched Bill O'Reilly's show when he was on Fox, it's all entertainment. So yeah, he's a bit of a hardline kind of dude. He's a little bit conservative. He's nowhere near the other guys because he was always trying to hawk a book, a live show, sell coffee mugs. You could see what he was. He leaned conservative only because it financially benefited him, right?
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't know if people know the difference anymore between what is entertainment and what is real.
Oh, they don't. But I'm saying that you need to pay attention to and look at these things.
Yeah,
because
but
I've known Hannity for years, right? And every time I've met him, he's been like what Mark said. He's been very nice to me. He was very courteous and kind, and we've talked about all kinds of different things. He was a very nice, cool dude. So I've had personal experiences with him where he was he was a cool guy. I've listened to him on the radio for many years, and I haven't listened to him in a while because I know he went even further with all the Trump stuff. But what he is on the air is just magnified. It's all entertainment. He can say whatever he wants, but I know people have their beliefs, and when they're on the air, they gotta sensationalize it in order to get the ratings, in order to make money.
Yeah. But
and that's where you need to start to realize, and people, I don't know how people aren't realizing the fact that if anyone's on TV or on radio, they're sensationalizing everything.
Well, of course, yeah, but that's the thing is, like, people don't understand the difference, and that's where the problem is. Like, if there was a warning before, like, the Hannity show or before any of these talk shows, like right or left, that just said, the following show is an opinion show which may have facts and may just have opinions, viewer discretion is advised, maybe then it would be different, but it's not. Like, it comes on as news, and these people are like,
and when they bring the pundits on who offer nothing, they bring the
pundits on. They're bringing on military analysts. Like, why would you think this is entertainment? You know, and like one of those military analysts I saw recently, like, because he left Fox News, and I think it was like Anderson Cooper asked him, is like, so do you think that, like, the people there really believe it? And he said basically what you said. He's like, I think most people there know that it's entertainment. Mm-hmm. He's like, but I think Sean Hannity actually believes everything he says.
Wow. I mean, I haven't seen Sean in years, but
he was just like, yeah, he believes that deep state
and the
stuff.
times I actually, interacted with him and hung out with him and stuff, he didn't seem like that, but
yeah, I don't know. Like, when I see like ex-military people saying that who left Fox News because it got too crazy.
Yeah,
and
Fox News has become. Do you remember the movie Network?
Yeah,
where he realized that nothing mattered and he sensationalized the news in order to prove his point.
Yeah,
that's where Fox is, but they're failing to kill the guy at the end to show that this is being ridiculous. They're like, nope, keep going.
Yep, just keep it going. But this money is coming in,
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, and it might sound like I'm doing like a lot of like conservative bashing, but like, you know me, like my politics are very middle of the road. Like I change daily based on like information I get. Just happen to. What's up?
Your pants?
Well, no, I don't change.
Hey,
my
Giddles,
pants
don't
daily.
you hate pants?
I do. That's why I'm wearing shorts. But like, I change my political viewpoints as I get more information. If something changes, it's like, oh, this was false. Then like, yeah, I'll change my point of view. Like I have no problem doing that because I don't want to like sit in that bubble of like, no, I'm still right. Like, no, the information's wrong. I'm changing my opinion, So I don't know. This situation feels weird. I don't feel bad for the backlash that Mark got. Like, that's just something that happens, man. If you say something like this guy's got reasonable views and that person said, ethnic cleansing might be a solution at one point, even if he walked it back, like, I don't know how I feel about that.
All right. But again, those were Ben's comments or alleged comments, not Mark's. Now, Mark was basing his response or his post based off personal encounters with this gentleman, right?
Yes.
So that's when you're saying people don't understand, can't see what's news and what's entertainment, this is the same thing. A lot of people weren't seeing the intention of what he was saying. But right? And he was getting piled on by like ultra liberal people just screaming at this guy like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like I've seen other celebrities and other liberal figureheads come in and say, look, it's unfortunate what Mark posted, but I don't believe that's what he was doing. Like they were being level-headed about it, but a lot of the base of it was attacking him. And I'm being fair here because you said if it was Ben said something about Hillary and that base went nuts on him, and he's only talking about a personal experience, the same kind of rationale should be offered to him as well. But for Mark, where you had people saying, dude, he said all these things. Look at all this, look at that. That's fine. The people who went too far, where it was like liberals eating their own, it's like, dude, the guy, and he's a nice dude. Anybody who like Tom Arnold, and like I know he's a bit wacko too, but Tom Arnold was pretty vocal about this, and a few other people were putting stuff out there and saying, look, we know Mark, he's a good guy. Yeah. Like there's not a lot of good people in Hollywood, and he's one of those dudes. He made a mistake. Like we understood what he meant, but he just picked the wrong example. Yeah. But a lot of people jumped on him. I'm like, nobody read the intent of what he was saying. They just took it face value. You mentioned Ben Shapiro. Fuck you. You're horrible. You're just as bad as he is. What is wrong? It's like, that's not what he was saying at all.
No, but I think, like I said, though, it's not the intent. I think it's the way that he said it. The way that he said that he's a person that can be reached out to, one, which I don't think is true.
Okay.
And two, that he has reasonable ideas, which I don't think is true either. You know, so I think that's where the attack was. Like, yeah, I'm sure there's no conservatives on the right-hand side. You know who he could have reached out to? Maybe like Shepard Smith, the most, liberal guy on Fox News. Right. But he was still conservative. I'm sure you could say he's got reasonable ideas, and it would be totally fine. You know what I mean? Like, no liberals would attack Mark Duplass if he said Shepard Smith has some good ideas and you could reach out to him. You know? I think it's just because it was Ben Shapiro.
So that became the lightning rod for it.
And that was the lightning rod because Ben Shapiro is a lightning rod. He has made all of his money off of the lightning rodness of like blaming liberals and blaming Hollywood for everything. But
I just don't think Mark should have taken the beat down social media wise. But that's the world we live in now.
That's the world we live in right now.
You slip and you mess up. There's no safety net. There's no oops, I'm sorry. It's look what you did. Everybody, pile on.
I mean, he could have been, he could have apologized to him, been like, hey, listen, sorry, like, based on my experience with him, I didn't know about this stuff.
Well, he did. But he wrote an apology about it.
But he could have said, like, he helped me with this. I didn't fully understand his political beliefs, and, I'm going to look into it more deeply, and I'm sorry if I offended anyone because I didn't look into this before I posted it, But I don't know. I just think it's just one of those things where we're divided right now into tribes. We're a very tribal country.
I know,
there's no
bad.
reaching across. Like it's getting to the point. Like I feel like this is what Rome was like before it burned. Like this is how bad it's getting. And then I think it's gonna be revealed in like another year. They're gonna be like, oh, it turns out there was lead in all the drinking water in America. Like, oh no, everyone's just going crazy.
And the only place that didn't have it, Flint, Michigan. That was the ruse.
Yeah, exactly. But I just think there's probably ways to reach across the aisle, but it's gonna take a lot. Yeah. I don't know.
Eventually,
I just think
it's gotta calm down at some point, don't you think?
I don't know. It's hard though because if you look at like current events and stuff that's happening in politics, and it's like. There's no even ground, like anything Obama did was literally treason, like treasonous, like he's trying to destroy America. But then it's like, Trump could be on TV with Putin. It's like, all right, there's a perfectly good explanation for this, and it feels very unbalanced to me. Whereas if anyone else was doing it, they would be destroying them. Like, I mean, I Googled, Hillary Clinton impeachment 2016, and I found articles 4 months before the election that said they were already drawing up how to impeach her if she even won.
Yeah, but that was public, though. People knew that.
Yeah, I know that. But what I'm saying is that was based on, the Benghazi stuff. But if you look at what's happening with Trump right now, and there's Republicans are like, yeah, I don't know if we can talk about impeachment yet. They were already drawing up the papers to block her. You know what I mean? So it's like, where does the balance come in? If they're not going to be balanced, it'd be like, okay, well, we were going to go after Hillary, so we have to go after them for this. Like, dude, they're going after Robert Mueller. He's a Republican. Like the entire FBI is all Republicans, and they're the enemy now. Like, I mean, there's no balance. Like everything is completely out of balance, and I don't know how we're ever going to get back on track, to be honest. Like, I don't think there's coming back from this. I think we've gone way too far over the edge. And
no, I think there's coming back, but unfortunately,
I think people are going to have to really suck it up and be like, this is wrong, and we have to.
Something horrific is going to have to happen, or something.
That's my biggest.
Not
fear.
even horrific. Maybe something that's so impactful that will happen that everyone's going to have to stop and go, wait, we got to take a step back from this. We went too far.
But more impactful than what?
I don't know. Look, I'm going to say something just to be ridiculous. Alien invasion, all right?
That's the only thing, honestly.
Right? That would come in it, but that's the only thing that isn't in a horrific situation that could be that impactful to stop this. Otherwise it's like, hey, there's a meteor coming that we didn't notice. We got 40 days to try to figure out how to destroy this thing, or it's going to impact the Earth. Then everyone's going to drop everything and try to figure that out.
Yeah, and then the flat earthers will come and be like, "Oh, that's not a real thing," and then and then it just gets.
And no, even that with the flat earthers, that's not a real thing. The thing's heading to us. You can't say that's not happening. I don't see it. Well, I don't see it. It's not there.
It's not happening.
Look in the telescope, asshole. There it is. That big burning thing.
It's comet.
Yeah. Something horrific's going to have to happen, and I hope it doesn't. But And then another way, it's like, what else is going to... We need... It's like a reset button, almost, you know?
I don't know how to do it. I think the only way to do it would be for, like, a bipartisan, like, people coming together and being like, no, like, we legitimately have to investigate everything that's going on because, like, things feel kind of fucked up in this country. But, you know, like, watching celebrities and pseudo pundits, like, argue on Twitter all day is not going to solve the problem, you know? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to fix the problem other than people have to eat their own and be like, yeah, this is fucked up. And just, you know, move on. I don't know.
Well, speaking of moving on, we should do that. Let's take a break.
I gotta pee.
Yeah, we're going to reset. When we come back, we've got movie and TV updates for you. We're going to check in with all the updates going on with San Diego Comic-Con. And I got to tell you about my ventures with Yahoo Mail.
Yeah, and I want to talk about my podcast taping I went to yesterday.
Yes, you went to go see our buddies. How Did This Get Made?
I did. And
Paul Scheer and Jason Mantzoukas.
And June was there this time, so it was great. It was all three of them. She's been missing a bunch of shows because she's the busiest out of all three of them because she has work.
And the other two are like, we're doing our podcast.
Yeah, so, well, yeah, I'll talk about it after.
All right, so we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
It's Erik Nagel with Erik and Giddles. More next. It's Erik Nagel. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, and Facebook at It's Erik Nagel.
Good news, everyone. Bad news. You're listening to Erik Nagel. Poor people.
Welcome back to It's Erik. What? What are you doing? Welcome back to It's Erik Nagel. That is me. Giddles over in the Upside Down. Matt OG and Trevor will rejoin us next week.
Yeah.
Yes. This is going to be a fun segment. Last segment was pretty heavy. This segment is going to be a lot more fun and entertaining. We look at the box office.
It was fun and entertaining, Erik.
Yes.
I was entertained and fun.
Looking at the box office, number one for the second week in a row. Who saw this? Hotel Transylvania 3, the Adam Sandler animated movie.
I didn't see it.
I saw the first one, was really good. I have the second one, haven't seen it, and the third one, obviously in the theater, haven't seen it. But last week, it debuted at number one when it beat out The Rock's Skyscraper, which everybody thought would be number one. This week, it's still number one and beat out Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ugh, I really thought this was Rampage's week.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to happen.
I think Rampage is now on demand. I'm going to have to go and watch that.
It's going to be its week.
Right, so then Ant-Man and the Wasp, number two. Skyscraper, featuring Dwayne The Rock Johnson at number three. Number four, The Incredibles 2, still holding in. And number five, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. All that there for you to go and check out. Looking at the box office for this weekend, doesn't look like there's really anything I have any interest in seeing.
Well, I don't know what's coming out this weekend.
There's The Equalizer 2, which is the remake of the franchise starring Denzel Washington.
Okay, I saw the posters for that on the subway, but I didn't know what it was.
I haven't seen the first one, but I remember The Equalizer way back in the day. But
I thought it was about a DJ trying to get all the sounds right.
And then Mamma Mia 2, which I guess is a sequel that needed to happen. That's coming out here.
Mamma Mia!
Although, there's Unfriended 2, which is probably going to suck. But did you ever see the Unfriended movie?
I did not, but I saw the trailer for Unfriended 2 before Hereditary, and I was like, oh, I saw the whole movie. Like, I don't need to go see this now. So it looks kind of stupid, to be honest.
It was a different concept. The original movie was all these friends were on like Instant Messenger and stuff, and they see one of their friends get killed.
Yeah.
And they're all on this thing there, and then one by one, they're all getting picked off.
Yeah, that's the same thing that happens in the trailer for this one.
Yeah, so only this is other kids. You know, it's like we never
kids.
solved that other murder that happened with all those kids, but we've moved on to this neighborhood now, and it's all other kids. But yeah, there's really nothing that it looks too thrilling for this weekend. So there's some stuff out there that I haven't seen yet. Oh, and also, if you haven't seen it, if it's in your area, go see "Won't You Be My Neighbor," the documentary on Mr. Rogers.
It's playing by me, and like I haven't seen it yet because every single person's just like, "Oh my god, it's so sad," and I was crying the whole time. I'm like, I don't want to go see that. Like, I'm doing that every day anyway. Like, I don't need to go do it in a movie theater.
Right. One other piece of movie news before we go on to San Diego: the this was a huge series for the longest time, and granted, it was women and older people watched it, but Downton Abbey, which was a British series that aired here on PBS for many years. I don't remember how many seasons it had, like 6 or 7 seasons.
I think it only had one season that had 4 episodes, and just each episode was so long it felt like a season.
They just announced that a movie is going to be happening. So if you're a fan of that, or if your parents are, you may want to give them a call and say, hey, you know that old show that nobody likes? They're making a movie.
I thought they had already made the movie about that, didn't they?
No, I just saw here. It said they greenlit the movie for Downton Abbey.
Is it Downtown Abbey or Downton Abbey?
It's Downton, not Downtown Abbey. DOWNTON. It looks like a typo.
I was getting all these really weird porn links. I was like, "What is this? What's happening in Downtown Abbey?"
It's not Downtown
like Debbie Does
Alley.
Dallas.
You're looking up
Downtown Abbey.
You're looking up the parody porn of Downtown Alley.
Ugh, you got me an Abby normal brain.
Some TV updates for you. Teaser for Stranger Things Season 3 came out, and it's very interesting. A lot of people were perplexed by it because it has nothing really to do with the show as far as we know, other than it's a promo video for a mall that's opening up in Hawkins.
Perfect.
So you go through it's one of those things where they're telling you, like, the brand new mall is opening in the area. Look at the food court and you know, many shops that you can go and spend your money and hang out and spend the day, plus a movie theater, and here's our ice cream thing. There's one kid, I forgot which kid's brother it is, but he's serving ice cream in the trailer, but he's the only recurring character that you see in the trailer. Everybody else looks, either they're just extras for this piece, or they may be new characters in the new season. We don't know. They haven't announced the new characters for Season 3 yet, but that's something. It's sort of like a placeholder saying, hey, we're still coming. We don't want you to forget about us. So Season 3 for Stranger Things, look for that. Did you see all of Season 2?
I did. I was kind of mixed about it. I was like, meh. I felt like there was some episodes that felt really good, and then they led into nothing, and then I got really upset.
You didn't like how it ended at the dance?
Oh, I thought it was so stupid. I really didn't like it. It felt very like Hallmark ending to me. Like, I just didn't really care for it. I think like overall the season had some really good moments, but it was kind of meh. I think they really they caught lightning in a bottle, so to speak, in that first season.
Right.
And I think they can go a lot of places, but the whole like underground tunnel thing in season 2 felt a lot like he's in the wall with the lights. It felt like they were just recycling the same gags, but like just changing it slightly. So I'm hoping that season 3 makes the world even bigger. You know, we were able to find, like other people who had 11's like type powers in this one, and I'm hoping maybe it'll explore that without being as much of a cheesy caricature of 80s movies that happened in this season with those people.
Right.
So we'll see. Wait, hold on a second. Wait, the kid in the trailer is Steve. Isn't that Steve from Stranger Things?
Is it? The one serving ice cream?
Here's the picture and says, yes, that is Steve Harrington in the Scoops Ahoy ice cream shop, along with a new character, Robin. So that seems to be Steve.
All right.
So I guess he's working at the mall.
Guess so.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. Details will be revealed as we find out more. Nickelodeon also announced that they're bringing back yet another property of theirs, Rugrats. They ordered 26 new episodes, so that's coming back. So they've already brought back Double Dare. They already are rebooting for a third time now in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which Matt has expressed that he does not like the artwork for that. Speaking of not liking the artwork, you see the people online who are upset about this reboot of She-Ra, Princess of Power, that Netflix is doing.
No. Anytime I see fans outraged about stuff, I immediately turn my head and walk away because I just do not care.
Some people were looking at the samples that were being put out, and they thought the animation was kind of crappy, which is weird because the Filmation versions back in the 80s was kind of crappy.
Yeah.
But it reminded me, the animation style of this new series reminded me of, do you remember the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon or the video game Space Ace? Remember in the that used to be in the arcades. They even made a cartoon of it for a little while where the kid would turn into a big like superhero kind of guy and then right back down to the skinny little nothing again. that kind of cartoon animation. That's what it reminded me of. But then apparently there was guys, who were upset that it wasn't sexy enough because her new outfit is very conservative, very warrior-like. It didn't look like, the one-piece bathing suit that she used to wear in the old 80s series. And that was interesting for people to get upset that the cartoon was not sexy enough. And I think if they're complaining about that on social media, those are the people who should be flagged.
You know who that is? Those are the people from when Homer does the voice of Poochie and the guy is asking a question and then Homer just responds by like, why does a man who has a shirt that says genius at work watching children's cartoons all day? And he's like, I retract my question. Like, that's what it is. That's who it is. It's that guy who's sitting there being like, you can't expect us to think that the same rib bone makes this like two different noises. Like, we're not idiots, Right. Like, that's who you're dealing with. And like, when I see those fans act up, I'm like, I don't care. Like, there's so many other things to worry about that, like, who gives a shit? Like, why are you watching She-Ra? Watch something else if it's not for you.
Yeah, it's not meant for you. It's meant for kids to watch at this point.
They have no problem with the reanimation style of My Little Pony, though.
Apparently not.
Because that's very different from what it looked like when we were children.
Also, that debuted this past week was the brand new show Who is America on Showtime with Sacha Baron Cohen. You haven't had a chance to see the show yet?
I have not had a chance to see it yet. I was hoping that it was going to say Who is America, and then like you put on the first episode, and then it's what's his name? Donald Glover. He goes, "This is America," and just goes into that video. It's just like a sentence.
It's like Who
is America?
It's a half an hour Rickroll. It's just that video plays over and over.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen the episode yet. I've heard great things. I've heard that people are really upset because the episodes are only a half hour long.
Right.
And they should be longer, but I've seen clips online from the episodes, and it looks pretty good. I really want to watch it. I just don't have Showtime.
I'm going to be honest with you. I watched it, and there was like one part I found amusing, and some of the others I didn't. And I was just like, and it wasn't because, of political thinking or anything like that. There's one, it's 4 characters that he has, and it's split up into 4 segments through the show, and each one does an interview with somebody. And the one character he does where he's this artist guy and he's speaking with a lady, an art curator, and he's talking about how his art he's going into, expressing how what his art is and what it means, how it compares to other things. And she's like, "Oh, this is so interesting. I want to see it." And then he reveals that the method to his art is by shitting and coming. And then he pulls out this cardboard thing, and it's got some nice, decent looking art on there. And she's like, "Oh," and then he reveals it is like that it's all made from his feces.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh," and she's a fucking lunatic. Like she doesn't flinch at all. She's like, "Oh, well, this this shows how certain art people are like weird people when they get into the expressionism, and this is from, this reminds me of Maltese from the Fauvism period, and when they get into all that stuff, and you're like, you're just using your book smarts for a lack of a personality,
But we do that with The Simpsons. They're like, "Oh, this reminds me of a season 4 episode."
Right, but we also can talk like regular people.
I can't talk like regular people. This is how I talk now, Eric.
Acting.
It's acting.
She's just she's a weird person. And he goes into the bathroom, then comes back with another piece of art, and he's like, "This is you." And he's talking about the cum's not dry yet, so don't move it. And like it's cringy, gross, but like I get, okay, that's fine. But some of the other things I didn't think was that funny when he had the one guy who was in one of those scooters, and he was debating Bernie Sanders on healthcare.
Yeah.
That was okay. The thing at the end was kind of funny when he convinced these gun nuts to do cartoon and PSA stuff for children.
That I've seen online, because that clip went online pretty fast.
Yeah, that was funny.
The
and scary at the same
Kindergartens
time.
program.
Right. But overall, the whole show, I was like, I know it's the first episode. I got to give it another try. But it's in the Ali G format where he would split up his characters to do different things within the episode. I don't know. I have to see more of it before I can really make a judgment of it. But that first episode alone, I was just like, it was okay. It wasn't like the best. I had higher hopes for it, but we'll see what the future episodes do. And then Last Week Tonight returns from their break this week? This Sunday.
Oh, thankfully.
Yes. Should we do San Diego stuff and then do Yahoo at the end, or vice versa?
It's up to you, man. Doesn't matter. I still want to talk about how this get made.
All right. So, let's do that, and then we'll do San Diego. So, Giddles went to go see How Did This Get Made, which is a very popular podcast on the Earwolf Network, which is Paul Scheer, Jason Mantzoukas, and June. What's June's last name?
June Diane Raphael,
who is Paul's wife.
Yes.
And they break down these movies. And these would be the movies that were left over, for older people. I'll put this reference for you. When all the big blockbusters that just came out that weekend were already rented, this is where you go further down the aisle to the area that maybe is not dusted as often as up front by the registers.
Sometimes
they find these lesser known movies or lesser successful movies, and they'll review those movies and break down commentary like how did this movie get made.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's literally called How Did This Get Made?
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's not like just movies that are like at the edge of the shelf. Sometimes they did like Face Off, they do Con Air, they do the Crank movies, they did Showgirls, Striptease, like they do big movies that are just like absolutely ridiculous. But I got a live taping ticket at the BAM last night, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and the movie that we had to watch was awful. Like, I like bad movies,
right,
but the movie that we had to watch for this episode was just atrocious. It's called Yes, Giorgio, and it's Luciano Pavarotti's only movie. Like, he made a movie, and it's just Pavarotti in a movie, and it's a weird, like, him just singing opera the whole time. And it's a dreadfully boring, horrible, horrible movie. And the best part is, Paul Scheer comes on stage. He's like, all right, we're going to get the show ready. And he's like, I know, I saw the Twitter feed. Everyone hated this movie. Like, I'm sorry that you guys couldn't get through it. He even tweeted out a link on Vimeo of somebody who re-edited the movie to take out all the singing, and it was 40 minutes shorter. Like, so that's how much singing. That's how much singing is in this movie. It's a terrible, terrible movie.
Do you know who one of the leads in this movie is?
Pavarotti?
Eddie Albert.
Who's that?
He plays Henry Pollock in the movie.
Sure.
Eddie Albert was the lead in Green Acres.
Okay.
He was Eva Gabor's husband.
Okay, yeah, I
That's
didn't know
the only other
who was
name
in
I
it.
recognize on this list outside of Pavarotti.
But it's a terrible movie. Like, I do not recommend anybody watch it for any reason. Like, watch the trailer, and that's the entire movie. It's basically just Pavarotti being fat in America and just cheating on his wife. And that's like the whole plot of the movie. It's just him cheating on his wife with someone who he flat out tells, like, I don't want a relationship with you. Like, you're my America fling while my family that I love dearly is back in Italy. And that's like the whole movie. And, it was atrocious, but the live show was fantastic. And if they ever come to town, you should definitely go see it live. It's really funny. And if you haven't listened to the podcast, please listen to it. It's one of the best ones out there. It always makes the top 10 lists of podcasts that you could listen to, up there with like all the other serial killer ones that people are listening to. When you're tired of listening to serial killers and you want to listen to something about like Sleepaway Camp, which is a movie about serial killers, then listen to How Did This Get Made?
I remember years ago you were telling me about this podcast, and that's what got me to listen to it. But they did that Sean Connery movie that's so awful, Zardoz. Is that what?
They did it as a 2-part episode because they couldn't do enough for it in one episode because it's so ridiculous. And the thing is, I didn't tweet, rather. I went on the message board and I told them that they had to watch it with commentary. And then on the podcast, they're like, yeah, somebody on the message board told us that we should watch this with commentary. They didn't name me, but like I think it had to have been me.
Right.
And so they watched it with the commentary, and then they started bringing in like the points that are talked about on the commentary into the live show. And I thought that was pretty interesting because that is one of – if you've never seen Zardoz, like I talk about it a lot on this show because it's one of my favorite movies because it's absolutely ridiculous. It starts with a giant stone head that vomits guns and says the gun is good, the penis is evil. And like people just run around, killing each other. It's a ridiculous movie. But yeah, they started like incorporating parts from the commentary into the live show, and it was pretty funny. So it's a great podcast. I think if you like bad movies, if you like just ridiculousness, then check it out. And if you just want to, see it's like a better version of Mystery Science Theater 3000 is a good way to describe it.
Okay. Well, people should definitely check that out. I got a story about my Yahoo email I got to tell you, and then we'll do the San Diego updates and then get out of here. So I've had this same email account almost 30 years. Right?
Holy shit.
I've had a Prodigy email account. Now, for
with
those
the flying toasters?
Yes. No, isn't that Toaster? Isn't that the video editing software?
No, like it was the screensaver. Was that operating system Prodigy that had like the flying toaster screensaver?
No, I don't think it was.
Oh,
I don't remember that.
Hold on, I'm gonna type this in. Keep going.
Way back in the day, young folk, when the early internet was just emerging on the scene, you had to dial in with your computer using your phone line to connect to message board servers. And Prodigy predated AOL. Not by a lot, but just by a little bit, because it was like Prodigy and CompuServe.
Yep.
And Prodigy, you would dial in, and it would take you to this database that was gray, purple, yellow, and white.
Yep,
and
I remember that.
That's how you just go through different message boards or areas and to see news posts, to interact with people, what have you. And then you had your personal email. Well, as time went on, my dad was very hesitant. He did not want to do anything with AOL. He stayed with Prodigy. And as we hit the late 90s, then all of a sudden you didn't need the dial-up software anymore. As long as you had the internet, the early days of a router connected to your computer, you could just use your browser, which was Netscape or Internet Explorer at the time.
Yep.
Where if that opened up, you were automatically connected to the internet. You didn't need to dial up and do all that stuff. Well, my dad, I guess, just kept using his Prodigy email, which kept all our accounts going.
Is he still using it?
Yeah. So, hang on. So then it got to the point where Prodigy eventually got bought up, in the tech boom and the website boom of late 90s, early 2000s, where Prodigy was sold to a company called SBC. And then SBC owned Prodigy. And then SBC got bought out by Singular. And then Singular got bought out by Yahoo. And then Yahoo got bought out by AT&T. Like, it
sounds like you're reciting something from the Bible.
Right. That's exactly the begat part.
Yeah, exactly.
So at some point in the 2000s, they stopped charging for, or like the beginning of 2000, they stopped charging for the dial-up server, the internet service. Now you just had the email. But really what it was the email was just the shell. So you were using at this point Yahoo. It was Yahoo email, but your email address would be at prodigy.net, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we still had all these emails. And I still had the email, and all I used it was for some financial stuff. That was it. Because I had that associated with credit cards and other things for so many years. I was just like, I'm not changing all this shit. I'll just leave it as is. So the other day, I get a notice that the email account is gone. What? I go to log in. I noticed that on my phone, which I had the email routing to, that I hadn't received anything since July 3rd. I tried to log in. It says this account doesn't exist. What is going on? So
yeah.
I looking up Yahoo stuff. Apparently Yahoo does not have customer service at all. There's no way to call them for any kind of interaction. It's a help database, which basically is like, well, what solutions did other users come up with, and just go with that. It was a self-policing, self-contained help database that's like, well, here you go. Maybe you guys can figure it out. We're not a part of this. And this is Yahoo. Well, Yahoo was owned by AT&T. And they just split because Yahoo got absorbed by Verizon now. So I finally go through everything with Yahoo on the message boards, and I can't find anything. So I contact AT&T. And AT&T, I'm waiting to, I'm on the phone about an hour waiting to get in touch with them. So I decide to direct message the Yahoo customer care on Twitter. And they finally write back, and we're going back and forth on this thing. And they said they can't do anything because AT&T owns that extension. So when it's separated, AT&T took all the extensions and stuff that they own through that deal. They took that with them. Yahoo is now just Yahoo under Verizon.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. So I'm talking to the people at AT&T. They're helping out. They're doing all these things, and then they're like, well, we see the account is suspended. We can't figure out what's going on here.
Did someone hack into it and send a bunch of spam?
No, they told me that this is going to be something that Yahoo had to deal with.
Okay.
So I'm on the Twitter DM with the Yahoo people, and I told them, I said, AT&T is on the phone. They're saying that this is your end, and they bluntly put it and go, we don't own those servers, those names anymore. AT&T owns them. They took all of that with them. AT&T is responsible for these accounts. Because I used to have to go to Yahoo Mail and log in with the Prodigy account, right?
Yeah.
So I go back to AT&T, and they're going. So now they're at the point where they were supposed to let me know today. They took my number and all this stuff that they were going to try to find out what they can do. And because even if it's open for a couple of days, I just want to get like my address book and stuff out of there.
Yeah, just get your shit.
Now I'm doing all this research while I'm waiting on the phone between operators or service people on there, and I'm looking online, and there's a thing that they're trying to use as their legality, saying we posted something a year ago on the Yahoo message board or the Yahoo Help Center stating that in a year's time that AT&T is going to split and that this isn't going to be. But I never got an email about that. So posting it on their Help Center on their website shouldn't be legally enough, because if people who had no problems and didn't need to go to the Help Center, how were they going to know if they're just using their email, in their daily occurrence? So finally get to AT&T again, and I was like, you got to fix this. I just need to get stuff. And then my dad had his account, same thing. So he needed to get stuff like he had stocks and financial information that were all associated to that email account. And it just looks like it's totally fucked right now, because it doesn't look like either side is going to help nor care about all this thing.
They're like, why are you using this old email? Like, get out of here.
Well, the email doesn't mean anything. I know people are like, why are you still using Prodigy? I posted complaints about this on Twitter yesterday, and somebody said, well, as long as my AOL's fine. It's like, your AOL's going next. Like that, your email is just a shell like the Prodigy one was.
Yeah.
It's under a different service. You can still have that address, but it doesn't mean anything anymore. So, and AOL is going to be the next thing to disappear, because who uses an AOL email account anymore? Like,
I still use my AIM Messenger, and I have some great witty away messages.
No, you don't. They disabled it 2 years ago. It was a big public spectacle.
Eric, I hired someone to sit at my desk all day while I'm at work and pretend to be
Are you on
AIM.
a self-contained closed network?
I need work, Eric.
Yes. You're a sad man. So where I'm at here is I was fortunate enough because that email also routed through like my phone and my iPad. So I have emails, I have stuff in there that I can copy over and put into a current Gmail or something. That's what I'm dealing with my parents right now, trying to transfer all their stuff, because luckily they had stuff transferring to devices that we can salvage some of it. But it just looks like at this point they're just like, fuck, both sides are like, F both the customers from everywhere. So
yeah, like we don't care.
We don't care. We're not going to do anything. And see ya. Yeah,
you're two people in a sea of like 10 still using that Prodigy email. So
well, it didn't mean anything. Even if I got a Gmail, I mean, Gmail's on its own server.
Yeah, I know.
But it wasn't like, and somebody had pointed this out, is like you shouldn't use email accounts from internet service providers, which I agree. Like, so if you have Xfinity or Comcast, that is Xfinity, Infinity or Optimum or something like that, you don't use your name at optimum.com or,
so
you don't use that because
mine?
if you don't use that cable service anymore, they just wipe your account. You don't have that email anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
So you go with something a bit more stable, which at one point in time, you would think Yahoo would be stable. Like Gmail is. Like, Gmail's not going anywhere because Google's not going anywhere. But you thought at one point Yahoo wasn't going to go anywhere, and then all this crap happened. So these accounts are in limbo. They're disabled. They're not deleted. They're disabled, and I can't get anybody to give permission to try to access these accounts. So it just caused a whole ordeal of problems yesterday because, I have my parents screaming. It's like, we got to get this information. I don't have my book, my contact book. I don't know how to get all this stuff. And so now it's doing everything piecemeal, and I just had to set them up with Gmail accounts. and show them how to network to everything. And it was just a headache I didn't need to wake up to, because that consumed my entire day of back and forth on the phone and with Twitter DMs for customer service between these two companies, which used to be one company at one point, and neither side giving a fuck.
Anytime I have to deal with something where it's something that went wrong because of the internet, like, I immediately just want to die. Like, it never works out. It takes forever. Like, when my PayPal account got hacked, it took me like a month just to get like my money back, and like have to deal with that and go through the different customer service. And then like PayPal is different than like the service that authorizes their cards, and you have to go through different, like, I know exactly what you're talking about, dude. That shit sucks.
Yeah. It's just needless headache. And, you know, had they done a better job of notifying people that this was going to be shut off, would have been fine. But then I did a search online like you do. You know, when you can't find anything through Google, what do? You type it into Twitter and see who's talking about it. Yep. And I saw a lot of people complaining because apparently they also had shut down the Yahoo email servers. A lot of people couldn't access their regular Yahoo mail yesterday, not for the same reasons that I had, but their servers were down, and Yahoo started posting, "Oh yeah, we know this is happening. Please bear with us while we're trying to solve the issue." And everyone was just mad yesterday.
Ugh. That was like last week trying to log into Fortnite Season 5 when it loaded, and like all their servers crashed. It was an hour wait to play a game. It was ridiculous. And it's like, just please wait with us while we fix this. Like, fucking fix it now.
You still having problems with it or no?
What?
Still having problems with it or no?
No, it's better now. Okay. They had a server crash or some shit like that. But yeah, that's the thing. That's all they could do is be like, it's just down for a little while. Please bear with us. Like, no, I need my emails now. I need my contacts now. I need to know I'm getting this shit back.
Right. All right, let's move on to the con.
Meet me at the con.
San Diego Comic-Con is underway. And at the time of this recording, we're only one day down and 3 more days to go. So a lot of announcements are still yet to come. But
I'm excited for Jurassic Universe, where they send all the dinosaurs to space to colonize Mars. It's going to be great.
They all fly the Enterprise.
Yeah, they do. They fly the Millennial Falcon.
Some of the updates that have been going on over there, like we said earlier in the program, it's been, or it appears to be, not a big year for San Diego Comic-Con. There doesn't seem to be a lot of major announcements that are expected. Nope. As far as the panel schedules and the a lot of the toy companies are there and other products are there, manufacturers are there, where San Diego is usually the big day, the big time where they release the trailers, they release posters, they release art, they release any kind of sneak peek exclusives, whatever is coming out during these 4 days. So here's everything that we've known so far. They announced a Disenchantment panel on Saturday, which is the new Matt Groening project with Netflix.
I'm excited, yeah.
So we're going to get a chance to see a trailer officially of what all this is going to be after they show the panel. It usually shows up online immediately afterward, if somebody didn't already just tape it on their phone and post it to their YouTube channel. That'll be available on Sunday after 5:30 p.m. their time, Pacific time there. Star Wars had the only announcement that I think is going to mean anything to anybody right now is their Clone Wars animated series, which I know Matt was a big fan of, was thought to be done. And they announced that, nope, they got signed for another season, so that's going to return. So if you're a Star Wars fan, if you like that series, that's good news for you. It Chapter 2 trailer is supposed to be revealed somewhere within San Diego Comic-Con.
I heard that as well, but I haven't heard too much about like that, other than like some casting rumors and stuff. But I apparently like there is a teaser or something floating around. Maybe it'll come back online. I don't know. I
know Bill Hader was announced for as part of the cast for part 2 because it fast forwards 10, 20 years?
I think it's like 20 years.
20 years from when they were kids in this incident to now they're adults, and then Pennywise returns. Aquaman is supposedly the big talk for the Comic-Con, for that they're going to
Aqua person, Eric.
They're having a panel and they're going to show the trailer for Aquaman. And this seems weird because Aquaman is still pretty far away. I think this was just kind of fan service where there's like, look, Marvel's not here. Warner Brothers and DC is like, well, you got to put something out there or these people are just not going to give this a fair share at all.
Aquaman comes out what, next year?
Aquaman comes out December 21st.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care. I really don't care about the DC universe that much because every single movie I've seen, I've been completely bored with.
Yeah,
like,
boring or disappointing. This just seems like you got to put something out there because, look, we have no other competition as far as the superhero movies right now for this con. Put something out there. The poster and the artwork looks embarrassing because I posted one up on the Instagram account for me and did I do it for the show? No, I did for IHeartRadio, where it's so ultra vivid color. Like they went too far with the color spectrum on it to make it look like a Marvel Disney poster. But
it almost had like a Technicolor feel to it. Like the colors were like super like hyper real. Like
right.
It was a little weird.
But it just comes off looking like Little Mermaid.
Ugh.
So I
mean, that's what it is, though.
I posted
It's
the photo.
Aquaman.
I posted the photo with the caption "Under the sea, under the sea." There'll be
he's
no
the little
accusations,
mer person.
just friendly crustaceans under the sea.
That's your answer to everything, Eric, and it's not going to happen. Not with that attitude. Ugh, we're nerds.
Yes. Warner Brothers also announced that there will be no Zack Snyder director's cut for Justice League.
Oh no!
I don't know why that's an issue.
I think that people had said that that there was a director's cut that was better than what was released in theaters, but then they changed it based on viewer screenings or something like that.
Right.
But it's Zack Snyder and he sucks, so I don't think that even if there was a director's cut that was going to be released, it would be any better. I think it would just be worse. I just Googled Henry Cavill. I don't know how you pronounce it, where the accent is, and he literally put out an article that just says, "I don't think Zack Snyder's Justice League director's cut would make a difference." So obviously he doesn't think there's some good stuff in that movie either.
So it's completely a waste, and they're probably doing everybody a service by not releasing that.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think anyone really wanted it, to be honest. I mean, I think the fanboys wanted it, and I think people legitimately did want it to be good. I know Matt was like one of those people was just like, yeah, I think that if they're gonna do it, like they should do it good because then more people will want to see the movies. But they just keep fucking them up at every corner. So, I mean, I don't have any interest in Aquaman. My happiest moment thinking of Aquaman is The State, where they make fun of Michael Ian Black for being Aquaman in the Hall of Justice, and they're like, "Hey, Aquaman, go talk to some fish," and that's all I think about every time I see Aquaman on screen. And then all of them just laughing at Aquaman, like the Flash, like laughing at him, and then Aquaman just looking around like, "It's true. That's all I can do is talk to fish."
Good. Flash is already here. You all know what to do.
No.
Well, the volcano's exploded. We've got to act fast.
Right. Batman, Robin, you find some way to block future transmissions. Wonder Woman, you stop Dr. Spiker and find out what he knows. Flash, you run to the Andes Mountains and get those plans. I'll go stop the missiles that have already been launched. Aquaman, you go talk to some fish.
I forgot all about that.
Hey, Aquaman, go talk to some fish.
Also,
because he just gave out all the orders. It's so good.
Also, with DC and Warner Brothers, they put out the trailer for Titans, which is supposed to be a dark, gritty version of the Teen Titans franchise.
Yeah, fuck Batman.
I'll think, yeah, that's been the whole hype around it because Robin says the F word in there. I'll put it this way: if you saw what they did to Riverdale on the CW, that's what they're doing to Teen Titans. Like they're making dark
network
and gritty.
Is it going to be on?
It's a movie.
Oh, it's a movie. I thought it was a show.
Yeah, live. I stand corrected. It's a live-action TV show, Titans.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, it's coming to the DC streaming service.
Ugh.
It's called DC Universe. It's going to be one of the tentpole shows for the DC streaming service.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I have no interest, to be honest. I mean, I saw the trailer and I thought it was kind of boring.
It's like, ooh, he said the F word, and that's
said the F word. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck that.
Who cares? Indeed. Doctor Who. I don't know if
Doctor Whom.
If you're Doctor Whom, if you're a fan, Giddles, I know Matt and I are. That they just released the first trailer to see Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor. I still don't know what's going on, and my concern is that she has such a heavy accent. I can't understand half the things she's saying. So,
is it Scottish accent or British accent?
I think she's British.
I just don't know because like lots of the times the actors of they're interchangeable in that way.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. I don't know their accents.
Like if you ever hear David Tennant speak in his Scottish brogue, like you're like, wow, there's a complete difference between when he does an English accent and speaking normally as Scottish. No, she's English.
Okay.
Yeah.
The biggest complaint I've been hearing about the new Doctor is
that she's female.
No, that
because that was going on for a while.
Oh yeah, no, I know that. It was actually about the screwdriver. Like people were upset that it was redesigned.
I don't know why, because they in the last season of Peter Capaldi's run as the 12th Doctor, he had this screwdriver. It was redesigned, but it looked weird.
Yeah,
it looked almost like a British building.
Okay,
but now the one she has, it sort of looks like a. It looks like it could be some kind of like sex device, but it has a yellow thing on the top, so it
putting the
screw
light. In screwdriver.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the Doctor Whom's.
Well, that's
so no.
Season 11 starts in the fall for that. A couple other little things. Mattel announced that they're making a Mario Kart series for Hot Wheels.
Ooh,
yeah,
that sounds cool.
Yeah, they looked pretty cool. I saw the photos online. That looked pretty awesome. So
Can they drop like little shells behind them as they drive? Because that would be fucking great.
Oh my god! If you had the orange tracks and then you hit the thing and it triggers
and you
the
could,
blue
drop
shell
shells.
and then hits everybody off the tracks.
17 children lost eyes today playing the Mario Kart fucking Hot Wheels.
And one dad stepped on the shell because it was in the carpet.
Yep, and then he slipped on it. And he died.
NECA revealed a few more things that Randy didn't tell us about. They have a translucent T-2000 figure from Terminator that looks amazing, and you can replace the arms. It can either be the regular arms or it's the big metal slabs.
That's cool.
Yeah,
like the spike arms.
The spike arms. Yeah, so you can replace the arms and the face. There's a couple of different facial features that you can change it on there too. So that looked pretty cool. They also have a very high level Ace Ventura figure.
Okay.
With animals, like he sits there and he's got like a parrot and an owl and other things.
Is there one with
him.
his head sticking out of the back of a rhino? Because that would be amazing.
That would be awesome. That should be the exclusive figure for
con exclusive
for New York Comic Con, where it's just a rhino. It's a fake looking rhino, but his head is sticking out the ass, and that's it.
Ugh. We should see if we can get Randy to make us like custom ones, but make it for the show where it's just a rhino and like all 3 of our heads or 4 of our heads are sticking out the back of it.
All right, we can do that. And then also they have some new Golden Girls figures that I know everybody loves the Golden Girls, so that's that'll be doing pretty well for them. And finally, ending with the Golden Girls, there's a pop-up store in San Diego where it's everything Golden Girls. Any kind of Golden Girls product ever made is in this store, plus a few exclusives. I don't know what the exclusives are, but I saw a video clip of Xavier Woods from the WWE who did a live thing from inside of the store, freaking out, and he's like, I'm spending all my money here. So he's buying everything. So if you're in the area, try to find the Golden Girls pop-up store. That looks pretty cool.
You know, it's a funny story about the Golden Girls. One of my first jobs in TV, my boss just casually dropped to me that he was an editor on Golden Girls, and I had no idea because he was just this like nerdy guy who like fixed all the computers and shit. And I was like, "Oh, what'd you do before this?" He's like, I was an editor on this little show called The Golden Girls." I'm like, "Yeah, I've heard of it."
It's kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
Now, have you said that I edited the show that was on after it called Empty Nest? Then I would have looked down on you.
Yeah, I would have been like, "No, sorry, buddy."
You and Joe Azuzu
fill that nest.
You and Joe Azuzu make tracks out the door.
I do remember Empty Nest, though, because I did watch both of those, because that's what my parents watched, and I watched whatever my parents watched.
I did, too. I remember it was on Saturday nights, because they were back-to-back, and that's what you did as a kid. You watched whatever your parents watched, because you didn't have multiple TVs in the house.
Until they said something questionable, and then you're like, your parents are like, I don't know if we could watch this with the kids anymore.
Right. Oh, Blanche is too R-rated for our children.
I remember every once in a while there would be like an episode of Married with Children where my parents would be like on the line like, is it this the time we take it away? And I'm like, you guys took me to see My Cousin Vinny when I was like 9 in theaters. Like, you can't take away any of this shit.
I remember wow, I forgot about this. I remember as a kid they took me to see a movie called My Stepmother's an Alien.
Oh yeah, I remember that movie.
And it's Dan Aykroyd and I want to say Kim Basinger?
Maybe?
Yeah, it was Kim Basinger. 1988. And apparently there's a scene where she doesn't understand sex, so she strips out of her thing and she's wearing what I saw later on was she's wearing just like a provocative outfit. But at the time, I remember being in the theater and my mom leaning over and putting her hand over my face. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, you can't watch this. And I think she thought it was going to be a nude scene, and it wasn't.
Did she keep her hand there the whole time because she couldn't back away now because she already went into that motion? So she couldn't have been like, oh, what was it? And then pulled her hand away, because then you would have asked, like, why were you covering my eyes? And then she would have had to explain it.
Yeah,
so it's easier.
She didn't tell me. She just said that it wasn't appropriate.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, if she just covered your eyes the whole time, and then you just missed out on a scene because your mom was confused.
Yeah,
you know
I
mean?
I had to watch because I forgot about that, and then later on, when I was older in my teens, it showed up on like the movie channel or something. I'm like, this was the scene that I had to block my eyes from. It was nothing.
Like this. Ugh, that was the always cover your eyes.
But I never to have your mom lunge over and shove her hand right over your eyes so that you can't watch a scene in a movie theater is both aggravating and embarrassing, because you know other people are turning to look like, why do they have their kids there, or what is she doing?
Yes, she better be like choking him out, not covering his eyes. I don't care.
Horrible.
Ugh.
All right. Well, we'll end on that note and go and do the plugs. Matt's not here, so no plugs for him. Giddles, what do you have?
I got GiddleBase on the Twitter, Instagram, and Xbox Live. And if anybody out there is interested in playing Magic the Gathering, I have 5 free beta codes to give out to play the new Magic the Gathering Arena online, which is very similar to Hearthstone. So if you like Hearthstone or like online card games, or you used to play Magic and don't play anymore but want to play this, just shoot me a direct message at GiddleBase online, tag the show, and I will give you a beta pass, limited to the first 5 people, because I only have 5 of them.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So if you want to play, Eric, I can give you a beta code. You can learn how to play some Magic.
Are you going to play with me? Because I have no idea. I'll throw them all down.
There's tutorials, but like with the beta yet, you can't play people yet. Like, you play random people, but you can't choose who you play yet.
Right. The one time I tried to play, I just slammed them on the table and yelled "Jin," and apparently didn't go over very well.
Yeah, no, that's not a good way to play the game.
No, so I'll have to relearn.
Yeah.
For me, it's ERock across the board, but more importantly, the show. It's Erik Nagel across the board. Follow us on all the social media, like our Facebook, and subscribe, please, if you can, to our YouTube channel, because we got to get it up to about 1,000 subscribers so I can do the custom URLs and all this other nonsense, monetizing and fun stuff there. So
hit the subscribe button.
Yes, please, on our YouTube channel. We would appreciate it. I think that's it. Matt and Trevor will join us back again next week.
Yep.
And until the next time, everybody.
We're going to be back next week.
You're never going to get this right.
Oh, wait. I think I know what it is. Be excellent to each other.
And we'll be seeing you.
It's Erik Nagel. And that's all the time we have. Follow the show at It's Erik Nagel on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Unless we do something stupid or something better comes along. We'll be back next.